Have you ever been told you can't step outside your own home after dark? Sounds absurd, right? Well, that's exactly what happened to me. It all began with a letter taped to my front door that read, "All residents must remain indoors after 8 p.m. Violators will be fined and subject to enforcement." No name, no signature, just the HOA logo stamped in bright red ink. At first, I laughed it off. Who tries to tell grown adults when they can or can't walk outside? But the next morning, every neighbor on the block was talking about it. That's when I found out this new rule came straight from the recently elected HOA president, Brenda Holloway. She claimed it was for community safety after a few minor car break-ins. Brenda was no ordinary HOA president. She strutted around like she owned the neighborhood, clipboard always in hand, pen tapping as she noted down things like the color of porch lights or how people parked. When she talked, people listened, mostly because she had that cold, calm tone that made you doubt yourself. I lived on the edge of the subdivision, quiet street, fenced yard, long driveway. I figured the nonsense would pass. But Brenda didn't like being ignored. 2 days later, she pulled into my driveway without warning, blocking my gate with her silver SUV. "Mr. Carson," she said sharply, "you were seen outside at 8:12 last night. That's a violation of Rule 9C. I actually laughed. "You mean walking my dog?" Her smile disappeared. "The curfew exists for everyone's protection. If you refuse to comply, there will be consequences." That's when I realized she wasn't joking. She even had a laminated citation ready like a traffic cop. "Lady," I told her, "this is my property. You don't own me, and you sure don't decide when I can breathe fresh air." She leaned close, voice dropping to a whisper. "You will obey HOA rules, Mr. Carson, or enforcement will visit." Then she just walked off. That night, I couldn't shake that last word, enforcement. What did that even mean? Soon, weird things started happening. A car idling at the corner. Flashing lights at random hours. Footsteps outside my fence after midnight. The next morning, a paper slipped under my door. Final warning. Future violations will trigger immediate enforcement action. That was it. I decided I wasn't backing down. At 8:47 p.m., I stepped outside to grab my toolbox from the truck. The night was quiet, still. Then the motion lights blinked on, and I saw them. 2 men at the edge of my driveway. Black shirts, white letters, HOA. Not police. Not security. Just 3 letters they thought gave them authority. "Evening, Mr. Carson," one said. "You know it's past curfew, right?" "Yeah," I replied calmly. "And you know this is private property, right?" He ignored me, motioning to his partner. "Record this. Violation of Rule 9C. I pulled out my phone. "Smile for the camera, this'll look great when the real cops see you trespassing." The smaller one lunged forward, trying to grab my phone. "Put that away," he barked. "No," I said. "You're already in enough trouble." The bigger guy shoved me hard. Adrenaline kicked in. I twisted his wrist, flipped him down onto the gravel. The other came at me swinging. I ducked, caught his arm, and drove him down flat on his back. They weren't trained, just bullies in matching shirts. When the bigger man reached toward his waistband, I moved fast, pinning him down with my knee. "You're trespassing and assaulting a homeowner," I told him. "That's a crime, not HOA policy." Porch lights flicked on across the street. Someone yelled, "I'm calling the police." "Good," I shouted back. "Please do." Minutes later, red and blue lights lit up my driveway. I stepped back, hands raised. "They attacked me on my property," I said. "It's all on video." An officer checked my arm tattoo, a Marine Corps emblem. "You're military?" "Retired USMC," I said. He gave a short nod. "Figures. You handled it cleaner than most." The 2 men were cuffed and hauled off. And from down the street, Brenda's voice rang out, angry, desperate, yelling about a misunderstanding. the officers weren't buying it. By midnight, she and her fake enforcers were all taken in. The men were booked for assault and trespassing, Brenda for impersonating a security official, incitement, and conspiracy. Turns out she'd formed her own community patrol without authorization, convincing those guys they had power to detain residents. News spread fast. Cameras showed up. The HOA board quickly voted to dissolve her entire enforcement program. I filed my own charges soon after: assault, trespass, emotional distress, defamation. Between the police report, footage, and her memos, the case was airtight. 3 weeks later, the verdict came through. Brenda Holloway was fined $25,000, banned from my property, and removed from her HOA position permanently. The 2 officers got 6 months probation and community service. The HOA itself was legally barred from ever enforcing curfews again. Standing outside that evening, the air finally felt free. They said the curfew was to keep us safe. But sometimes, the real danger isn't what's outside your door. It's the people pretending to protect it. Every neighborhood has its secrets, and every Karen leaves her mark. If you love true HOA stories like this, make sure to watch more on our channel, and don't forget to subscribe for more real-life neighborhood drama. Thank you.